Mm-hmm. Like a glove. Okay. Jumped through all the hoops. Got my car back. While we wait for the parts. He said he'll probably have them Tuesday. Catalytic converter, that's the big one. It's a big one. Have it Tuesday, bring it back, walk home again. Probably be done a couple days after that. Ride back again. Oh, I better wait here. This is crazy. Camino Capistrano, yo! That walk and that ride were both so nice. Oh no. Thanks a lot, you bloody Tesla. It's ruined all my plans. When I did the videos on the walk, I talked about walking and I talked about hitchhiking. But I didn't really talk about riding bikes that much on this ride because I had to really concentrate. There was a time when I lived in San Francisco, oh God, that I rode my bike every day. And that was when I lived at the ocean and I worked at the bay. So I crossed San Francisco and back by bike every day, which is approximately 15 miles as the crow flies. In other words, probably closer to 16, 17, 18. Back then, here I am riding my bike, what, 2-3 hours a day. I didn't realize how solid I was on a bike. Like, it was so comfortable for me. And especially flying down hills at top speed. I remember once I got to work and this gal said, "You just flew by me at about 60 miles an hour." And I was cutting down the lane between 2 rows of cars. I think I should turn here. So now when I was on that ride, anytime I started going down a hill, I was holding both brakes the whole time. I was scared. I was like, look how high up I'm sitting. Like, if I fall, I'm going to go all the way down the ground. I'm going to hit so hard. And I kept thinking, not just that my back tire would go flat again, but that my front or back wheel were probably just about to fly off at any second. I seriously expected to slam the ground. But it was a beautiful ride. Went to the bank. They wanted to charge me to cash a check. So I got back on my bike, went over to my bank, which is right across the street. They said they don't charge me, but they have to hold it for 2 days because it's not covered in my account. So I took out the $7 from my account, went back over to the first bank. They're like, "Oh, our system's down." Funny thing is, both times I walked in, there was a girl, and there wasn't one person in the bank. And both times she said, "I'll be right with you." Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm a customer. Set down whatever you're doing. So I sat there kind of sour, like, this bank sucks. Like, I hate banks. And most people that hate banks probably are bad bankers. But ultimately, the manager came out and said, "Look, let me see if I can help you with that." She worked with the system. It wasn't working, but she got it to go for my transaction. And she got it done. So I rode over to the mechanic, which was like 8 minutes. Heaviest 8 minutes ever. You saw it, Camino Capistrano. That's a busy highway. And on both Camino Capistrano and Ortega Highway, there'd be like a bike lane. And even though cars were going by so fast, so close, I felt partially safe. But then in both cases, the bike lane just disappeared. And all of a sudden, it was like a 6-inch shoulder that I was riding on. with people driving by at probably about 60 miles an hour. Well, at least a couple feet away, but all that stuff I was so comfortable with in San Francisco kind of scared the poo-poo out of me today. Nothing like bike riding though, one of life's simple pleasures. If you're riding your bike every day, even if it's a casual little jaunt to the market to pick up your fresh produce, or just an after dinner ride around the neighborhood, listening to some music, I think you're living pretty well. So what's funny is when people are in cars, we tend to get stressed. We get mad at other cars and other people. It's funny. And I'll never forget when I lived in San Francisco, and sometimes I was riding home and I had so many options of which way I wanted to go. I could go around the bay, around Fisherman's Wharf side, or I could cut through Turk in the Western Addition, or I could go straight up to the top of Twin Peaks. That was the most hardcore way to go. You just worked all day, you get on your bike, you come up Market, which is pretty crazy, then you ride all the way up to the top of Twin Peaks. And it was a grind. And I remember I used to say I want it hard. I don't want to be relaxed in a car. I think I was saying something about oil and how we go to war and people, our boys die and our boys and girls die in the Middle East so people can drive, and all we do is get stressed. Whatever. I was a young, idealistic San Francisco transplant back then. But I remember I said, I want it hard. I want my heart to be beating. I want to be sweating. And I don't want to get home and order a pizza. I want to go home and spend 3 or 4 hours slowly simmering a pot of beans. And at times I wonder, why did I want it hard? Why do I want it hard? And I still wonder that, but I think it's more of a true way of living. It just makes your heart beat, makes you feel, makes you think, makes you vulnerable, like I talked about yesterday or 2 days ago. Puts you out there. It's more dangerous. Exposes you. Tear down the walls. Open the doors, open the windows. No protective steel frame around you. You could literally put your hand out and touch a speeding car. You could literally drive over a rock and feel it. Maybe part of the reason I want it hard is for when it's not hard, I can appreciate it so much more. So like maybe that's why I slept in the bushes all those times. So the one time I'm in a soft bed in a foreign land, it's that much more exciting. Or the one time someone stops and picks me up when I'm hitchhiking right before dark, and they bring me home and invite me into their house and feed me and give me a place to sleep. It's that much more precious to me. I want it hard now because I've become a believer, and I know when it's hard, it strengthens my faith in the refiner's fire. It burns away impurities. Becomes gold. But anyways, I'm hopefully 75 to 80% of through this whole ordeal, because it started in September, but I'm only halfway through this part of it. And I'm believing there's at least 38% more to deal with after this is over. First, I need to get my car registered. And what I really need to do right now is go home, take a shower, and turn the app on and start driving and making money. And today's Friday. So I have all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and all day Monday. I have to drive a lot on those days. And I have to bring home at least $200 each of those days. Because my account's basically back down to zero. So what about getting your bank account down to zero? I'm talking about it like it's an accomplishment. Living at subsistence level. Like the Chumash Indians. You're just making enough to live that day. Is it stupid? Smart? Either, nor. I'll tell you one thing though. Getting your bank account down to zero. Boy. What can I say about it? It awakens your senses. Your faith sure fires up. You start talking to God a lot more. You start leaning on the Lord. What about when you get another big paycheck and all of a sudden your bank account goes back up? How good does that feel? I don't know, just saying it now, it seems like you have to go back and forth. You gotta go down to zero, bring it back up, bring it back down, bring it back up. I think that's the answer. I can't tell, but I know a few people that have their bank accounts pretty full. One of my best friends in particular, I guess he's like my symbolic whatever now. Got his house paid for, his retirement full, kids' colleges, cars, whatever he wants. And I can tell you that guy is not fulfilled. And he has clearly told me to my face, with tears in his eyes, it's not enough. It will never be enough. So the question is, what will ultimately fulfill us? Where will we find our ultimate satisfaction? Well, Jesus said two things when he gave the great commandment, and he said, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. And based on the example he gave of who our neighbor is, our neighbor is the people around us that we see who need help. Let that sink in a little. I tried to talk to some family and friends recently about if giving is truly better than receiving, why don't we give all the time? And I'm not even sure they agreed with me that giving is better than receiving. I think they thought I was crazy. Anyways, how's this? I'm driving a car. It's so exciting. Listen to my car. It runs so good. It has so many things that it needs fixing. But listen to it. It's so smooth. I think this car's anointed. And I think just like letting your bank account run down and then bringing it back up and letting it run down and bringing it back up and living in the hands of God like that, I I think driving must be mixed with walking, bike riding. You can't just do one thing all the time. I mean, I know people who drive everywhere and they have money in their bank account. And gosh, there's really... I know I'm thinking of some people in particular, which isn't fair. Imagine them looking at me. Uber driver, out of money, car broke down on the edge of ruin. They're probably like, what a freaking loser. That's funny. But I can tell you there's not a lot exciting about these people. And I don't see them smiling a whole lot. I don't see a lot of lightheartedness or joy. They don't seem excited to see me. And I'm wondering what does excite them. I just don't feel it. I don't see it. Who am I? Okay, there's my spot in front. Get my bike out of here. Take a shower. Turn on the app. Honestly, I want to get another peppermint mocha. Yo.